At 23 minutes past midnight on June 6, 1944, Sergeant Joseph Berley stood in the open door of a C-47 transport aircraft as it crossed the Normandy coastline. The interior vibrated continuously, metal skin flexing under engine strain and anti-aircraft impacts. The smell inside was oil, sweat, and overheated wiring. Outside the open door, tracer fire climbed toward the aircraft from the ground, thin glowing lines rising from 300 feet below. Each flash marked a German gun crew already awake, already firing into the dark. Berley watched without blinking. He was 20 years old. He had flown 2 secret missions into occupied France. He had never made a combat jump. The formation was already coming apart. German anti-aircraft batteries were cutting holes through the sky with practiced precision. 6 transports had been destroyed before Berley's aircraft reached its drop zone. Burning engines fell into hedgerows and fields. Parachutes never opened. By dawn, more than 1,000 American paratroopers would be dead, wounded, or captured. The 101 Airborne Division was not dropping into open countryside. It was being fed directly into a kill zone designed to break airborne units before they could assemble. Berley's aircraft was flying too low and too fast. Inside the fuselage, the green jump light never appeared. Red stayed red. Training said wait. Training assumed control. This flight had none. Flak punched through the aircraft skin. Shrapnel tore wiring loose. The pilot banked hard to avoid another burst. The sudden movement shifted the aircraft's balance, and gravity made the decision that command never did. Berley went out the door at 360 feet. Standard jump altitude was 1,200 feet. At 360, a parachute had seconds, not choice. No margin, no recovery window, only physics. The canopy opened violently, snapping him upright as the ground surged upward. It did not steer him, it only slowed him enough to keep him alive. He crashed through the roof of a church in the village of Saint-Quay-du-Mont. Stone fractured. Timber exploded. The impact echoed across the cemetery where he landed moments later among headstones and broken earth. The aircraft was already gone. The sky closed back into darkness. The church roof burned quietly behind him, orange light flickering against stone walls. His jumpstick scattered across 15 miles of Norman farmland. Men landed alone, disoriented, often injured. Most who landed alone that night never regrouped. German patrols swept the hedgerows with methodical discipline. Machine gun nests dominated crossroads. Snipers watched from church towers and upper floors. The environment itself was hostile. Narrow lanes limited movement. Damp earth absorbed sound but trapped feet. Visibility collapsed beyond short distances. Berley took inventory without ceremony. Thompson's submachine gun, demolitions, limited ammunition, a mission to destroy a power station feeding German communications in the sector. The smart choice was to hide, evade contact, and link up once the beaches were secure. That path preserved survival but risked mission failure. Berley did not choose the smart path. For 3 days, he operated alone behind enemy lines. He moved at night, rested during daylight, and used hedgerows and drainage ditches for cover. Fog clung to fields in early mornings. The air carried damp soil, smoke from burning villages, and cordite drifting from distant fighting. Every movement narrowed his options. Each step exposed him to unseen lines of sight. He reached the power station and destroyed it with the equipment he had carried since the jump. The explosion was controlled and brief. Communications in the area went dark. Patrol coordination degraded immediately. Response times slowed. The effect was measurable. He cut additional lines before withdrawing. He did not linger. Each success increased exposure. Each decision reduced margin. On June 9th, that margin vanished. Crawling through a hedgerow near Corentin, Berley entered a German machine gun position at point-blank range. 4 soldiers. 4 weapons. No cover. No distance to maneuver. The geometry offered no escape. The Germans did not fire. They wanted information. The invasion was still unfolding. Knowledge mattered. Berley gave his name, rank, and serial number. Nothing more. Interrogation followed routine until something shifted. His captors examined his identification tags. His surname drew attention. German. His grandparents had emigrated from Bavaria decades earlier. To the interrogators, this was not neutral. An American with a German name fighting against the Reich was seen as something worse than an enemy. His identification tags were taken. They were issued to a German infiltrator who spoke fluent English. That man attempted to cross Allied lines wearing an American uniform. He was killed weeks later near the front. American soldiers recovered the body. They recovered the tags. They read the name. On June 10, 1944, the United States War Department declared Sergeant Joseph Berley killed in action. A telegram reached Muskegon, Michigan. His mother collapsed. His father said nothing. A funeral mass was scheduled, an obituary printed. Neighbors filled pews and prayed for a son who had died liberating France. Joseph Berley was not dead. He was sitting in a German interrogation room hundreds of meters east, watching guards beat another American prisoner unconscious. The sound of impact echoed against stone. The smell of blood mixed with damp concrete. When the beating stopped, silence settled heavy. Late June brought transfer to his first prison camp. It would not be the last. Over 7 months, Berley passed through 7 prisons. Each transfer pushed him farther east. Conditions deteriorated steadily. Food thinned, heat vanished. Disease spread easily. Resistance was noted and punished. Berley resisted immediately. His first escape attempt came in July. Prisoners were marched toward a rail station when American fighter bombers attacked the column. Explosions scattered guards. Smoke erased visibility. Berley ran without direction, using terrain to break line of sight. He was free for 16 hours. German patrols found him in a drainage ditch the next morning. Rifle butts ended the attempt. His name was marked. Escape risk. Transfer east. The system functioned cleanly. Action produced consequence. The farther east he went, the fewer protections remained. By October, Berley understood captivity. Cigarettes replaced money. Silence conserved strength. Information traded for calories. He learned the Soviet army was advancing through Poland. If he reached the Eastern Front, German control weakened. The second escape began with a work detail. He and 2 others boarded a freight car. In darkness, direction disappeared. When the train stopped, they were in Berlin. Gestapo custody followed. The Gestapo did not recognize prisoner status. 3 men in American uniforms arriving in Berlin suggested espionage. Interrogation began immediately. Berley was stripped, beaten, and suspended by his arms until shoulders dislocated. Whips, clubs, rifle butts followed. Sleep vanished, food disappeared. Mock executions distorted time and thought. They demanded information he did not have. The beatings lasted 10 days. On the 10th day, a firing squad assembled. The commander announced execution. Breath slowed, muscles tightened. This was the point where survival ended or continued. German army officers arrived with documentation. The men were confirmed as captured soldiers. Gestapo jurisdiction ended. Berley was pulled from the wall and transferred. Relief never arrived. Only exhaustion remained. Late December brought transfer to Stalag 3C in occupied Poland. 12,000 prisoners. Barbed wire, guard towers, machine guns. To the east, Soviet artillery rolled constantly. The front was collapsing. Berley planned again. In early January 1945, Soviet artillery struck German positions for days. Guards watched the eastern horizon, longer. Discipline thinned. Cigarettes bought moments. During a work detail, Berley slipped through a poorly repaired gap in the wire and crawled into frozen mud. He ran east toward the sound of guns. 2 others followed. Both were caught. Berley heard dogs and gunfire and did not stop. Stopping erased everything he had endured. For 2 weeks, he moved through occupied Poland in winter. No map, no compass, minimal food. He navigated by sound, slept in barns and ditches, avoided roads crowded with retreating German units. His body was failing. Injuries from torture never healed. Hunger hollowed him. Frostbitten fingers lost sensation. Each step demanded more than the last. In mid-January, he saw Soviet tanks ahead. Ti-34s painted white for winter. Reaching them meant survival. Approaching wrong meant death. He raised his hands. In one hand, American cigarettes. He walked forward slowly, shouting the few Russian words he knew. Rifles came up. A commissar refused him. Regulations demanded evacuation. Berley refused to stop. The battalion commander arrived, Alexandra Samusenko. She understood cost. She overruled regulation. Berley was issued a uniform, a PPSH-41 submachine gun, and assigned infantry support to a tank. The tank was an American M4 Sherman. An American paratrooper rode an American tank under Soviet command toward Germany. The Eastern Front erased restraint. Villages burned, bodies lay unburied. Mercy was not expected. Berley adapted. His demolitions training proved useful. German positions fell faster. The battalion advanced west. On February 3rd, open terrain offered no cover. Dive bombers arrived. Sirens screamed. Berley stayed close to his tank to remain effective. The first bomb shattered his leg. The second buried him in shock and noise. Two aggressive decisions stripped away his final margin. He survived evacuation. Surgery followed. Then another. Doctors did not expect him to live. He did. Marshal Zhukov visited weeks later. He listened. He authorized Berley's return home with signed documents. In late February, Berley reached Moscow. The American embassy detained him. Records said he was dead. Fingerprints proved otherwise. On April 21, 1945, Berley returned to the United States. He had been gone 2 years. He had been dead for 10 months. Germany surrendered 2 weeks later. Berley rebuilt quietly. He married in the same church where his funeral mass had been held. He worked. He raised a family. Recognition came decades later, when American and Soviet medals were placed side by side on his chest. Joseph Berley never described himself as a hero. He measured war by absence, by men who never regrouped, by prisoners who never escaped, by soldiers who never returned. His life demonstrated something simple and brutal. When pressure removes every safe option, survival belongs to those who keep moving forward, even when every step carries cost. Which part of his story stayed with you?